It's going to fall for Ibrahimovic. Oh, come on! David Beckham. Oh, goodness me. Yes, Giassi can he do it? Yes, he can. Robbie Keane continues to captivate. Back from the death. LA Galaxy level things up. It is over. The Los Angeles Galaxy have won their 6th MLS Cup.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Clash of Cosmos. I'm Dylan alongside Mila and Andrew today. Two podcasts in a row where the Galaxy have picked up points, which is pretty exciting. In this one, we'll talk about the walkouts to start, as that's a very important topic in the Galaxy sphere and it needs to be talked about. We'll then get into the actual game where the LA Galaxy dominated against the second best team in the West and won 3-0. And then we'll talk about DC and SpongeBob night because hell yeah. And then we'll finish it off with our glorious prince, Mr. Riqui Puig, was back on the training pitch, and that's signs of positivity for a Galaxy side that hasn't really had it all year. But let's start with something not so positive, but a great stand and a great call from the supporters group. Andrew, you were there. You took pictures and videos of it, so I want you to kind of give your take and what you saw.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess word got out before the game that the supporters groups were going to do a silent protest and essentially just walk out, leave the stadium a little bit quiet. And something really interesting to note about that is that it's a unified thing between all the supporters groups, all three SGs in V block, and then you have LA Riot Squad on the other side of the field. And the last time the supporter groups protested, there's a little bit of division, a little bit of maybe some SGs feeling a type of way about what another SG decided to do. But to see them be unified and make that statement in one voice, or maybe lack of voice, but doing that together, walking out of the stadium, that's something that speaks to, I think, maybe how important it is that the statement that they wanted to make. And there's a lot of the things that they wanted to talk about. I guess first you could say the club's performance and maybe the silence. Really, this animosity from the fans started when those ice raids started. I believe that was in June now, and LA Galaxy didn't make a statement when a lot of their biggest fans, their people in their community, were being impacted pretty severely. We still see these people being impacted. You go outside LA, you don't see eloteros like you used to. You go to the Home Depots, there's just a tension there. And we're talking about working class people who work very hard. And these are people who are major Galaxy fans, and they make up, I would say, the bulk of the support. You look around the stadium, you look around the people who are working at the club. The vast majority of them are immigrants or their descendants. So for the Galaxy to be silent towards something that impacts such a massive part of their supporters group, it felt a little bit like a slap of the face to a lot of the fans. So they wanted to talk about that. We see there in that image, their TIFO, fight ignorance, not immigrants, underneath the United States, made up of these immigrant laborers, these people who are being affected. And so that's another thing that the supporter groups wanted to talk about, is really just the government itself. Well, we all know what the Trump administration is kind of doing, inciting these ICE raids all throughout the country, not just LA, all sorts of things like that. This big, beautiful bill that he loves to call it, just really lots of attacks on the working class. And this is, at the end of the day, is a working class club. So the working class SGs, they made a stand. At minute 12, they stepped out of the pitch. They walked out after displaying these banners, kick out ICE, a bunch of messages. We like our whiskey neat and our people free from LA Riot Squad. But yeah, minute 12, all together, all at once, they left the pitch. And a very, very important statement that they made. You could hear in the stadium, like you mentioned, Dylan, I was there. There was a little bit of noise beforehand in the 12 minutes they were there. But definitely not like normal. And when they left, it was just, it felt a lot more like a church service. Their absence was definitely noticeable. So if the club's going to be silent towards these really important issues, the fans are going to be as well on the pitch. Really interested to see what happens, what they decide to do on the next game. But we know a statement isn't coming from the club. But one thing I will mention, and I wrote about this in my last article, is that I do feel like the club is starting to take some steps to maybe bridge that gap a little bit. One of the big things that Fupoleando was the source that first reported it, but the LA Galaxy Spanish Twitter page or Spanish social media pages have been inactive since February. So that's a very long time to really not just ignore the whole Spanish speaking community. When you look at like their Spanish cover, Spanish website that hasn't been updated in who knows how long. So lots of decisions that were sort of going against the Spanish speaking community. We saw, I believe it was 1 or 2 days before that game on the 4th, that those Spanish pages started getting active again. So that's a nice step in a positive direction. We see there's eventually that statement for El Veloz, the voice of the original Spanish broadcaster. He passed away recently. There was a big, uproar about the Galaxy not making a statement about that until called out, but they did make that statement. And something that I liked was Tom Braun, the club president, at the tailgate before the match. He was walking around. I saw him speaking with time to listen to hear what they had to say. So those are just actions. We talk about the Galaxy making statements, but it's that old saying, actions speak a lot. So we have them putting out those Spanish accounts, trying to actually speak with the fans, connect with them in that way. You got to give them credit where it's due, but I do feel like they have quite a ways to go before the fans start coming back out in the way that we're used to seeing. So very interesting start to the game because of that.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be an AEG masterclass if they didn't have something like this happen in a season like this. We spoke a little bit on the last one when you were having your technical issues, but it just sucks. It sucks. This is a club rooted in Carson, right? It's not like this is a club rooted in Huntington Beach. Right?
Yeah,
The sole base of this club is immigrant fans and fans from outside of California, and so it sucks. It really sucks. But somebody had to make a statement, and it always comes. It's so funny because it's AEG. It always is the fans that have to make the statement. 2 years running, or yeah, two in the last 3 years, where the fans have had to make a statement is it's just that's the way the LA Galaxy work, unfortunately. But kudos to everyone involved in that, and it was a shock, dude. Whenever there's a game on and there's nobody behind the net, you can tell it looks like shit,
yeah,
and it makes the Galaxy look like shit, and that was the point. You don't support us, you don't support the fans, the people that actually need to be here and support the team, then we'll make you look bad, and they did. So I'm happy that they did.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah, but the play on the field wasn't bad. We find I
absolutely not. I mean,
what the fuck, man. The guy that tweeted that, of course, the Galaxy would look this good on July 4th, it just fucking summarizes exactly how this match feels and all of the actions of it. Like, an impressive win. I'll throw up the team sheet here because they went back to the three in the midfield of Fagundes, Royce, and Cerrillo, which obviously I'm not a fan of, but it played really well this game. I do have Fagundes' heat map, and I think it's important because it goes back to some of the earlier points that Mila was making about the team, like way back in the beginning. But we got the best performance out of Joseph Paintsel that we've seen all season. Obviously, he gets 2. But this was our best performance all year. It's funny that 2 of our best performances have come against Vancouver, which is like one of the best teams in the entire league. Obviously, they're hurting a little bit because a lot of their guys were out because of international breaks or suspension. But we mentioned it. Like, if there was any time for the Galaxy to go and beat Vancouver, this was the game to do it. And they absolutely took their chances, and they did it. Mila, after seeing what you saw from the game, what was your kind of big takeaways? And then we can kind of roll from there.
Not so much big takeaways that we learned from the game, but just more reiterating the fact on some things. I think Mikovic with some stellar saves on some honestly great shots to keep us in the game, to keep us level with the clean sheet helped a lot. Royce continuing to shine for us. And I looked at the stats for the team. He's the only player with double-digit GNA. We've come a long way, and he continues to get at least one per game. So that's good. I'm happy with that. Nascimento looks like he's grown into the team. He's comfortable. And then, like you said, with Paintsel, great.
Yeah, here's
Shadow
Royce's
Moms.
stats over the pretty much since he came back from injury. It's pretty ridiculous, dude.
He
For a guy
locked
his
in, bro.
age. Yeah. Yeah, he's really put this team on his back for the better part of 2 months. I think we're now starting to see the performance of the team match up to his performance. Like the level has just risen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, another assist. I mean, the guy is just, like you said, a GA machine right now. And it's all flair and fancy and shit. He did another no look. Like, I know Paintsel was butt naked, but fuck, dude, he's sexy. Like, he's just such a sexy player. Like,
It's
it's
fun.
so
He's
impressive.
making it fun.
He is making it fun.
Definitely.
Andrew,
Now-
what was that? What was that like when you were in the stadium and that second goal went in?
Yeah, nuts, to be honest. First, I was still. It took me a second to process it because I was still reacting to that pass from Gabriel Peck. He put in a really, really great ball to Marco Royce to find him in between two of those Vancouver defenders. I was sitting next to my parents. I was like, wow, what a ball. I was still talking about that. And then in that same moment, first touch, the angle of that cutback, too, it's not easy. Super, super sharp. And then again, right to Paintsel. But that touch he took, look, I had to watch the replay because it felt like he took 2 or 3 touches, but it was just the one. But that one touch, I swear it lasted, I don't know how many seconds. It felt like an eternity. But I just kept on replaying pretty much every other chance he's had where, oh, he's going to hesitate. He's going to sky it. He's going to pass it to the keeper. But he proved me wrong. He took that touch, buried it into the side netting. So it felt like a shift a little bit for Joseph Paintsel. But I mean, there's just so many emotions in that, reacting to that peg pass, reacting to the Marco Royce, panicking because of Paintsel, and then the jubilation of him actually scoring. Definitely a little bit of a roller coaster there, but yeah, I mean, the stadium blew up for as empty as it was. It was, wow, a 2-0 lead. I feel like that 1-0, we were still feeling a little type of way, but definitely massive. One thing I do want to say just about Marco Royce, we've been talking about how well he has been doing these past couple months. A great point that Manny made after in the presser was that this is the healthiest that Marco has been. He's finally, getting in. He's just being himself now. This is the first time since he's been a Galaxy player that he's not really dealing with anything. He just feels good. He's not thinking about his hamstring, his knee, whatever it might be when he's on the pitch. He's just playing. It looks like he's having fun, and we're seeing the result of that. It's just Marco Royce at this level. It's what we expected, just domination from him. So really great that he's healthy. Really great that Paintsel is converting. We could talk a little bit more about why that might be, his mom, that Ghanaian food, but it's definitely great vibes after that second goal.
Yeah, the thing with Royce, I mean, we were up 2-0, or we were up 3-0 for a majority of that second half, right? And like he still played 87 minutes. That's a sign that he's healthy. Like that's a really big indicator.
Definitely.
90, 90, 87 over the last 3 games. The schedule has kind of been nice to us here with Royce, and so we're seeing the best out of him. But it kind of feels like we finally let Royce play more of the Riqui role, if that makes sense. Especially in the final third. I think
it's just it's different, but
it is different.
I think I've used the term puppet master with him. It kind of just feels like what he is. When he's comfortable with the team, he'll just get them moving where he wants to go. And like for example, with the Paintsel goal, he doesn't even need to look at them. He just manipulates the defense and puts it on a platter for our players. That being said, though, and with this graphic pulled up, with all the good that we had with Peck and Paintsel and Nascimento, we are a very high volume team right now, and not very high conversion outside of this game. I think we had a penalty, to be fair, also, but I think that's the main thing that needs to be improved upon with those 3, and I think that'll come with them getting some confidence behind them.
Yeah, the volume of chances, you're right. Like, we're kind of just shooting as many and seeing what sticks. I think I'm going to pull up Fagundez's heat map here because that was the real difference in terms of the midfield of what we've
It's
seen from him in
perfect,
the
yeah.
past. That him being in that quadrant with Soria, who was exactly opposite. Fagundez was playing a true 8 role where he was playing almost a little more defensive. That's where you need him. I don't need Fagundez and Royce up near the 6 or the 18. That's just not important because it just takes away space from Royce. And ultimately, it just kills us in transition. I mean, how many times have we lost a game because of a transition goal this year? It's happened too often. If you leave guys on islands, ultimately, it's not going to work. There's only one guy I want on islands, and it's Royce. Everyone else should have cover, and they should always have someone as an outlet. I'll pull up the other 2 images from the first. This was from the first shot of the game, which honestly should have been a goal for Paintsel because Peck doesn't slide him in when he takes a shot. But
I agree. Yeah. Again, with
this image right here is a 4-on-3, and if we go back to the second goal, this is also a 4-on-3. Every single time that we've been productive and successful this season, it's with an extra wing back up with the forward line. I mean, in both of these plays, you've got Yamane sprinting right behind Peck. And then it's a 4-on-3, and there's just an overload somewhere, sorry. But I have a couple of other images that just wouldn't load. But it's this type of play that's been super successful. And honestly, the reason that I think that Aude needs to continue to play, because he was really, really good in this game in terms of just creating overloads.
Could have had a goal too. If Paintsel spotted him.
If I had that, I have the image literally like it just won't load. It sucks. But this is how we can see success with this team. It's more clear-cut chances because someone's butt naked. This was the first time all year where I felt like we actually created chances, that it wasn't just like, okay, you got to pull a rabbit out of the hat here. It was like, oh, someone's wide open. You better score that. And we finally did. Finally actually put the ball in the back of the net. That was cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to transition to Paintsel?
Yeah.
Team of the match day. Best performance of the year.
I finally voted in that. I've been getting the emails from the league for voting, and I just haven't done it because we've been so bad. So it felt really good to be able to put 2 Galaxy names on there finally.
Yeah. I mean, just a productive game. Obviously, the pen was more of just a confidence booster for him. I actually thought Royce was going to take it. I was surprised that he didn't.
Not in front of moms.
Yeah, but dude in front of moms, I'm for it. He slotted it. I had no issues once it was in the back of the net. It's usually people don't like to talk about XG. I like to talk about XG in terms of chance creation. It has nothing to do with the actual like, oh, did you put the ball in the back of the net? Obviously, his is inflated because he got a pen, but to have that high of an XG just shows that he's getting in the right spots. And maybe he was overthinking it before. This was the first game where it was kind of just like he was just ripping it. There's no second thought. I was super impressed from him to have a bounce back game because he really struggled in San Jose, and it was much needed, thanks to his mom. It had to be his mom. She's our savior, and if she's not at every game for the rest of the year, dude, I'm gonna be fucking livid. Someone figure it out.
He mentioned she's in town for at least 4 months, so we have a good run of form coming.
Come on, dude. Come on.
The first time she saw him play since he was 14, 15, or it was 14 years ago, 2014, something like that. But it's been a while, and that was back in Ghana. So before he was even in Belgium, before he went to Europe. So definitely, I mean, a massive, massive moment for him. I can't even like imagine the feeling. Very good.
That's
happy
crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Since 14, pretty much his entire life as a pro.
Absolutely, yeah.
Good for them. Good for his family. Good for the Galaxy. I mean, fuck. We haven't been able to be this happy on a podcast in so long. Like,
well,
I'm ecstatic.
Yeah.
Ecstatic.
Yeah.
This is the last 5 games. Dude, when was the last
time?
That's
what I was going to say. It's like you're about to pull this up.
When was the last time we were able to do this, dude, and look at a thing and go, wow, we only have 1 loss. We only have 1 loss in 5 matches. I think the more impressive part of this is the amount of goals that we've conceded. Like, take away the Colorado one, like I'm in St. Louis, because those are just weird ones, Like Colorado got me all sorts of angry. But the other ones, like 2 clean sheets and only a 1 goal given up against. I mean, these are pretty good offenses. Like Vancouver's a good offense. RSL was pretty good. Obviously no Luna, but yeah, or they did have Luna, didn't they?
I think then they did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're the best team. We're so back.
Yeah.
We're so back here. I'll put up the
We
Western
need that
Conference so
energy.
you can see. So you
We're
can see how
definitely the
close we are to
best.
being
If we
back.
flip it upside down, we're the best.
We are the best.
I
Yeah,
think
no.
that's a point that Vanny made after said the same thing pretty much every time I've been in those pressers with him, but we haven't been playing that bad against some of the best teams in the league. You think of the game against San Diego, that first game against Vancouver, really those are games that we should have gotten at least a point from. And these are for my money some of the best in the league. We haven't played too many of the better Eastern Conference teams, but we haven't just been playing bad. It's been either bad luck for some reason, just not being able to see out those points. So this really feels like, we're starting to correct a little bit our form, or at least we're getting what we should be getting because our play hasn't been suggesting that we should be this low in the table. Earlier in the season, those first 10 weeks, I want to say, yeah, that was bad. That was awful. But again, we can talk about all those factors that were going on there. And we've talked about it, but it just feels like we're finally starting to correct. We showed us that our last run of 5 games, it's like, okay, we're starting to build a little something. Who knows what happened in Colorado? Maybe that weather delay just messed them up that much, but it feels like we're not too far. Another point I wanted to make just to go back on Diego Fagundes. I don't know if you could pull up his heat map again, but a lot of that, what you mentioned of Diego being in that kind of 6 role, a little bit deeper, closer to Cerrillo, we had the ball. It's not like he was sitting back defending and that was his rest defense position. That was us on the ball and him just doing what he does best, linking up that play from maybe a deeper position, just not missing up passes. Yeah, we had so much of the ball in that game, I felt. And the way that he was able to get us a little bit forward, to link up with Royce and then go up, it was just, I thought this game was tailor made for Diego Fagundes in that spot. And yeah, it was just brilliant, I thought,
I
from him.
think, I think this is the key, and we've talked about it. I think the 3 of us have talked about it. We've wanted to see this for a while now. He can play that role pretty well. And then, as you can see with the heat map, he has some versatility in going out wide and making runs there. On top of that, we don't need him going forward. If Royce is clicking, then we have 4 guys capable of going forward. And as Dylan showed with those images, like that's all we really need to get something. So if that doesn't pan out, if we do make a poor pass and there's an error, there's 2 guys in the midfield to cover up for that. We're not getting necessarily overrun.
I
Yeah.
think another reason maybe why we had Fagundes go up so much in those first couple of games was we essentially had a hole in the 9th spot. I don't want to speak too harshly on Ramirez. I'm a big fan of his, or Barry, who we haven't seen too much for some reason this season. But we have Mateus Nascimento up there now, and that guy is fantastic. I think he's just such a threat, such a workhorse as well. But he knows where to be. Really great at link up. I feel like he hardly misses up a pass in the build up. Tricky passes as well. He's got really great tech, I think, with his feet. And so that's just a whole nother dimension of threat that we didn't have at the beginning of the season, which lets Diego Fagundes sit back and do what he does best and kind of just orchestrate. So, I mean, Mateus Nascimento, I feel like that's a player we could talk a lot about as well. I got to speak with him after the game in the press conference, and the way he says it, Greg Vanny's play style is tailor made for him. He said himself that he's a 9 who loves to be outside of the box, linking up play, getting touches, moving around, roaming. And that's exactly what Greg Vanny wants in a 9. So I think if we're looking at scouting and stuff, that's maybe a home run from a Kuntz, from that whole scouting team. Right now, we're really seeing it click. So Mateus Nascimento, right now, looking brilliant, getting a second goal. Yeah, he's just a guy who I think is going to really succeed in a Galaxy shirt. And I would be devastated if we didn't renew or make this loan a permanent signing.
Yeah. It makes you question why he wasn't playing before, right?
I think it was an injury. recovering
but-
from
The
the
fitness
injury.
was the big
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
But
not
he
fit.
wasn't even getting like sub appearances. Like it just
It's hard to. You don't want the new guy to adjust during the injury. It's
Vanny's
hard.
always a take it slow type
Yeah.
player too, or coach. We rather not rush it, especially when we're struggling. If we're already kind of drowning, why send him out to drown with us if he's not even ready to run?
that's fair. I mean, between him and Aude and Fagundes, like the technical floor of the team has gone up so much to
Absolutely.
just play around Royce. Like there were so many times where Royce was like playing a ball and then trying to get it back from like Nelson, and it just wouldn't even make it to him and just get recycled back to Yoshida. And same with Nascimento. Like with Ramirez, like Ramirez was just eating up the spaces that Royce wanted to be in.
Yeah.
And so that was the issue, is it just wasn't a good pairing together. It was bad foresight to bring in a Ramirez if that was the role that we were going to have him play. Now, I'm not saying that Ramirez can't have a role on this team. I think that there's still a spot for him. I just don't see it being I see it being alongside Nascimento. I don't see it being independent of Nascimento. We keep seeing that be the sub pattern, and I'm not sure if I enjoy that. Because I think Nascimento, regardless of if he's tired or not, just makes a difference.
Definitely.
And I think that if you paired the two of them together in late game situations, you might actually be able to get something. We haven't been in the position to need that yet. Like we haven't been trailing in a while late in games where I've wanted to see that. But I think that's a wrinkle in the system we could do. But yeah, no, I've over the last 5 games, it's been a lot more enjoyable to watch this team. I think that technically they're just playing better and they're doing a lot of the right things. Like, look, we're going to have mistakes, and I still don't know if there's any coming back this season. I think we're just too far down the table.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to see improvement from the guys that I think are going to be there. And all the guys that we've listed are guys that are going to be there. And potentially, like, for an Aude, like, you got to figure out if you want him there. I think he's been really good. But is he good enough to be there come next year? Are we willing to give him a raise? I don't know. So, got to keep playing the guys, figure out if they're good enough.
We'd have to free up an international spot too, right?
Do we?
International, a U22, he takes up a pretty big spot on the roster.
Yeah.
Well,
I will.
Yeah, the U22 is instead of the international, I think.
I don't think he'd be a DP. I don't think he'd demand that.
No, he wouldn't be a DP, but we'd have to still acquire or free up an international spot on the team.
I want to wait until there's more information on it, but obviously Gabriel Peck was linked with Palmeiras this week. I don't know really what that looks like. I'm going to wait for more reporting to come out on it because it kind of feels like they just picked a Club World Cup team and a Brazilian player playing in the States and smashed it together. Until I get like a second report from somebody or a deep Brazilian reporter, then I'll kind of start to look more into it, but that could be a place. I mean, we could see this team get dismantled still, even though we've been more positive than recently.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, a good win, but the only way to get back into the hunt and to start seeing success is to start stacking wins. So I'm going to put up the next couple of games here, the next 4 before Leagues Cup. Got DC on Saturday, Austin, a rivalry match against LAFC, and then Houston. You got to be looking at 4 gettable games here. I mean, DC's terrible. They're just as bad as us. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. They drew against Atlanta 0-0 in their last game. Austin,
no goals in their last 3.
No goals in their last 3, and they have Christian Benteke. They're not scoring with Christian Benteke. That's crazy. He was the Golden Boot winner last year.
Yeah,
they're in trouble. They are in trouble just as much as we are. So a very gettable game at home. I think you got to start to stack. So, I mean, I'm going to put up the lineup again. Do you guys want to see this same lineup on Saturday?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, after coming off of our best performance of the year, but I feel like the widest margin, it would be kind of foolish not to. For some reason, I kind of sense maybe a Nelson sub for Aude, get him some more minutes, but that's just me kind of reading Danny. I don't really know about that, though. I'd love to keep this intact.
Yeah, I think that with a team that can't score goals, you can be as aggressive as you want. And this is our most aggressive lineup. So They're also playing. I believe they play a 3-back, and so Vancouver kind of lined up in a 3-back for most of this last game, and we torched it with Yamane and Aude pushing forward. So keep it consistent. See if you can get something to stick here. This is like the perfect lineup for if you get Riqui back. I mean, I look at this lineup with Riqui Puig as in Fagundez's spot, and I think, wow, like this team could score could have just another record-breaking year. That's how good it can be. Definitely. So keep it consistent. I don't really know anything about DC other than they've struggled to score. They have Christian Benteke, which is crazy, and they're a legacy MLS team that's struggling this year. That's not a shock in the year 2025. But let's do star player and prediction, and then we can get super positive with our Prince. Andrew, do you want to start?
Yeah, star player. Lots of candidates, I feel like. You have Nascimento getting an early breakthrough goal, really just putting us in a position where we want to be. He got that early goal. We were really just able to pass around the back and kind of toy around with Vancouver, and that set us up for the rest of the game, which was brilliant. So, huge kudos to him. Marco Reus getting another assist, 11-11, carrying this team on his back. God bless him. Hope he has a lot of Bengay at home. But then we got Joseph Paintel as well, getting himself that brace in front of his family, tripling his goal tally on the season. So, 3 obvious, very, very massive performers. But I also want to give another shout out to Diego. We talked about what he did in that game. Just really, really, I thought classy. He's just simple, but he looks so mature. Like, I feel like for the first time this season, we really utilized his experience. He just seemed so composed, business as usual, just getting that ball side to side, up and down. But I loved his game, and Gabriel Peck as well. I can't stop thinking about that pass to Marco Reus for Joseph Paintel's first. Just stunning. And his defensive effort, man, that's something I wanted to talk about. Big point. So I'm going to go ahead and yap a bit. But it was unreal how much he tracked back in that game. Plenty of times where we talked about Yamane coming up a lot in this game. Peck went down just as much and covered a lot of those gaps. There was this chance, I want to say 30-ish minute. Vancouver's, I want to say it was their 11. He was kind of torching us on that wing. Gets inside the box. Looks like he had just cooked Yamane. It looks like he's going to have a shot. And then out of nowhere comes Gabriel Peck from behind. Brilliant tackle, brilliant effort, and gets us back up. So his defensive contribution, he had about 3 or 4 just like that. So very, very great game from him. He didn't get on the score sheet, but can't let that go unnoticed. But if I'm going to pick my star player, I got to give it to Paintel, I think. I really want this to be a turning point for him. We suffered a lot in terms of like abuse from the fans. He talked about that in the press conference, getting some racist comments. He posted some on his story, I believe 2-3 days ago. It continues, but he's just the type of guy. He's got a really strong foundation in his faith and his family, and I really hope that he could use that to have a great end to the year. So that's my star player. I think I want him to keep that up. This isn't a very good defensive side in DC, minus 22 goal differential. One of the only teams worse than us besides Montreal. We have minus 20, so not a whole much better. But this is, again, I think another game for him to go ahead and just continue building on that and maybe make it 3 against Austin. So he's my star player. Prediction, I see this being another 3-0. We had a really fantastic game against one of the best teams in the league at home. Here we go at home against one of the worst. Anything less than that is going to be a little bit surprising to me. It's pretty likely the way the Galaxy are, but we just have been in such a good run of form. They have been in a pretty awful one. We talked about it. No goals in 3 games. It's just all there for us to really, again, just bounce from it, grow. So JP, my star player, and I want to see another 3-0.
I like that. Mila, who do you got?
Nice. I got Royce being the man of the hour.
Whoa, man.
Yeah, big surprise. Puppet master. He's going to pull the strings, and I think we'll hold on to the ball a lot, and it'll be just up to his decisions on how we execute this win. I like the 3-0, like Andrew was saying. I think if we're consistent and can stack some clean sheets also, it's only up from there. We seem to perform a lot better when we have clean sheets. I think we get spooked when we concede. A little bit of composure goes out the window. So just keep the fort locked up tight, and don't let any past us.
Yeah. Those are both good shouts. I mean, those are the two guys that need to be good for us to win games. I like your point on the defensive output of this team. Since coming back into the starting lineup, Emilio Garces has been one of our best players. I think he's been one of our unsung heroes over the last 3 games in terms of just having his head on, just playing good, playing solid, not doing too much. I think he's starting to rebuild that faith with Yoshida. And he's my star player because, like I said, all that they have really is Christian Benteke. And so for me, it's containing Benteke. Obviously, we saw what Klaus did to us in that game against St. Louis. And so don't let their best player beat you is kind of my big talking point for this one is so long as you can keep Benteke quiet, they're not going to score goals. And if they do score goals on you, that's a bigger talking point in the next pod that we'll have anyways. So Garces is going to be my star player just because I think that he's going to put the locks, the clamps on Christian Benteke. Maybe he'll score a goal and hit the silencer on Benteke. That would be super lit.
Great shot.
But as for a prediction, I'm gonna. You know what? Like, fuck it. Let's keep rolling. 3-0. I'm gonna go with you guys here, and we're gonna just 2 in a row, 3-0. Get us a little closer to the playoff line here, maybe. I mean, dude, there's a chance that we could be neck and neck with St. Louis for 14th.
If I'm reading that right, we got more wins in our last 5 than Colorado. So really, that 9th place spot should be ours if we're just being honest.
Going off of form. I mean, this is a playoff thing, anyways. So, look, this is the time for the Galaxy to really figure it out. If you can figure it out here, if we can put together, like me and Mila were talking about it a couple episodes ago, like if you can put together like 4 or 5 wins in the last 7 games before Leagues Cup, we're looking at the season a little differently.
Absolutely.
And honestly, the reason that we're looking at it a little differently is because our Prince came back. I mean, I've never been so happy. I've never been so happy to just see a photo of a human being in my entire life. It made my whole day, dude. I couldn't believe it. I mean,
seriously.
KT tape on the knee, getting slapped. Fuck, he's hot, dude. Fuck, he's hot. This is great images. I feel like, Mila, this is the same thing that you sent when Raji came back to.
That's what I was gonna say.
training.
Like I've already had this feeling. It doesn't hit as hard, but it's a great feeling. I've talked about it a lot of times. It's pretty similar. It's just a different pedigree in terms of their impact. Rodri's a Ballon d'Or winner, super important MVP of our team. This is the MVP of the Galaxy, and we operate at a higher level when he's there. So in a way, it is the same thing. This is the heart and soul of the team coming back, and it's good that we're putting together good performances without him, but with him, we're only going to be better. And hopefully he just stays fit. We have to remember he was the most fouled player in the MLS by a country mile last year. So
yeah, there's going to be a necessary balance of saving the player from himself, but also letting him get back up to speed. That's kind of been my big point is I just want to see him play this year, and it doesn't need to be full 90s. I don't want him to be overdoing it, but I need to see him on the pitch grooving with guys again. Because even if he's just there and he's standing, like he's going to make everyone else around him better.
We're just kind of texting about that plus 10 aura or plus 10 attributes just because of his aura, just having him there. And that I don't really think that's an exaggeration. Just even having him on the sideline, whenever they show him on the Jumbotron at the stadium, it's cheers. It's something, this energy gets back into the stadium that just isn't there. But I mean, Riqui's just such a special player. I feel so privileged to get to watch him with our team as well. It feels, unreal, dream come true. And yeah, like you guys mentioned, I do think we're one of the best team. We're the best team in the league, I believe, with Riqui Puig. Like I can say that confidently. I think we're one of the best in the continent with him in the team. It really sucks that he was injured. I would have loved to see him in CONCACAF champions, but Another time maybe it'll be. But he's such a special player. It just elevates us to an unreal level. And yeah, we mentioned it. If we can string some wins together before Leagues Cup and, get into a position where him coming back actually matters, to me, that alone is a success from the first half of the season that we've had. If we can play games that matter in October, November, that would be very, very interesting to me. But we'll see. We have a lot to do before we can get there. But let's give Riqui something to be excited about. I think if we can, then who knows? As long as we get the 9th spot, then it's anybody's game. And again, with Riqui, him probably healthy by that point, I wouldn't be surprised if we make it 2 in a row. So
nobody wants to play a team with a healthy Riqui Puig. I guarantee you, if you match up against a San Diego or a Vancouver, and they're looking at a team that is storming with some confidence and has Riqui Puig, that's a lot to overcome. And there's no pressure on this Galaxy team anymore. There just isn't. Like, you can just go out and play, and Riqui is one of those players that just plays like it's a game. I have the number 6 jersey back here, but from a guy that just took a chance on the Galaxy coming from Barca to have his whole career arc, it's so similar to Bruno Fernandes for me, where it's like, you don't realize how fucking important this dude is until you're in the dumps and you're like, holy fuck, like, this guy really is that important. And I'm happy that he's getting the recognition that he deserves. And I'm happy that everybody around the club, from the fans to the owners to the general vibe of the social media and everything, is happy to see Riqui back, because he really does mean this much to this club. And without him, we're a 2-win team, and with him, we're champions. So he's important, and I love the dude. There's nothing that will make me not love this guy. So happy to see him back. Happy to see him running. I can't believe I'm happy to see a person running, but I am super happy to just see him run. But yeah, he's our king. He's our prince. And if anybody tries to take out his knee again, I will take out their face with, I can't say it, or we'll get taken off YouTube.
Yeah. I'd catch a case for Riqui.
Yeah, oh, fuck yeah. Cool. So I don't have anything else I want to say. Do you guys?
I think that's a good way. I think that's the perfect way to end it.
Yeah. I think we're all going to be there on Saturday for SpongeBob night. So if the 7 people that usually watch the show are not our regular group of friends and you want to come meet us, we're going to be tailgating. Come say hello.
Clash of Cosmos meetup.
Yeah, Clash of Cosmos meetup. Andrew, plug your stuff, and then we shall get out of here.
Yeah, thank you. Los Angeles Sports Nation, that's where you can find our coverage. We got weekly articles there. Had a pretty interesting one after the game. Just talking about the whole situation, everything that we've talked about to open up the pod. But there's lots of stuff going on in the administration that we look into. We'll have another article coming out tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. You can subscribe for free, get it straight to your inbox, so you don't have to go to the site. But yeah, catch us there on Instagram at Nuestra Galaxia Futbolera. That's NGF Andrew, like you see on the screen, on Twitter. Most active there, but we have some great clips from the press conference of this last game. Spoke to Vanny, spoke to Nascimento. So if you want to check out my broken Portuguese, head there, and I look forward to covering the rest of the season with you guys.
Hell yeah. Well, from myself, Andrew, and Mila, we are ready for the Galaxy to put together a couple of wins here. But until then, we will see you guys in the next one.
LA, Highland champions! They're going to go alone. Still back! What a goal! It's 6. They just cannot stop scoring. The volley from Bono. Yes! San Jose carved open with a world-class pass from Riqui Puig. Glittering Galaxy, and Landon Donovan is the match winner.